Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a really historic night in pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
AEW Grand Slam Mexico. This wasn't just, another episode or special. It aired live June 18th, 2025, straight from Arena Mexico in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today, using news reports, official summaries, all that good stuff, is to really unpack the key moments, maybe some surprising facts, and the big implications from this show.
Definitely.
It's kind of a fascinating look at how two wrestling cultures came together.
It really is. And you have to understand, this wasn't just AEW popping down south for a show. This was a full-on collaboration with CMLL.
Right, the oldest promotion in Mexico.
The legendary. Exactly. And holding it in Arena Mexico, the cathedral of Lucha Libre, that alone gives it so much weight.
Yeah, the atmosphere must have been incredible.
Oh, it was electric. And part of that was the broadcast length, 2.5 hours. That's significantly longer than a typical Dynamite. So you combine that extra time with that passionate Mexican crowd. It was just a unique energy, a real milestone blending these distinct traditions.
You could feel that energy even just watching the highlights. It was buzzing.
Mm.
So speaking of big moments, let's dive right into probably the biggest headline coming out of the night, a championship change. And this wasn't just any title change. It feels like it sent some real shockwaves.
Oh, absolutely. This was a major strategic play. We saw Mercedes Moné defeat Zeuxis.
In Arena Mexico.
In Arena Mexico, yeah.
Yep.
Captured the CMLL World Women's Championship. Pretty decisive win, too. Finished it with a diving crossbody.
Clean win.
Yep. But the really interesting part, the strategic genius, happened almost immediately after.
Okay.
A vignette pops up on the screen, cinematic, and it's Toni Storm.
AEW's women's champion.
AEW's women's champion, yeah. And it wasn't subtle. It was a direct tease, basically calling out Moné.
Wow. Okay, so bridging the promotions right away.
Exactly. Moné winning the CMLL title suddenly makes her a credible cross-promotional threat to Storm. It legitimizes CMLL's women's title on a bigger stage and sets up this potential interpromotional invasion storyline.
Sort of blurring the lines between companies.
Totally.
Yes.
It feels like the groundwork for potentially one of the biggest women's feuds we could see, connecting AEW and CMLL directly. Really significant.
That's definitely how you build anticipation.
Yeah. Again.
Okay, so from a new champion establishing herself, let's shift to a moment that maybe hit a bit differently. Something that really struck at the heart of Lucha Libre tradition.
Ah, yes. MJF.
MJF and a Lucha icon, Mistico. This felt, well, provocative is probably the word.
Provocative is putting it mildly. So MJF versus Mistico. The match itself, it ends in a disqualification.
No.
MJF hits a low blow, classic MJF, and then he actually tries to unmask Mistico during the match.
Oh, okay. That's a huge deal in Lucha, right? The mask.
It's everything. The mask isn't just gear. It's identity, it's heritage, it's honor. Taking it is the ultimate sign of disrespect. So the match ends, but MJF isn't done. Post-match, he violently rips Mistico's mask completely off his head.
He actually got it off.
Yep. Now, Mistico's allies, they rushed in pretty quickly, got the mask back to him, but the damage, symbolically speaking, was done.
Wow.
This wasn't just being a bad guy. This was like a calculated act of desecration in that cultural context. Removing a mask like that, historically, it leads to the most intense feuds, sometimes mask versus mask matches where someone loses their identity forever.
So MJF basically declared war on a whole tradition there.
Pretty much. He's drawn the most intense kind of heat you can imagine from the Mexican fans and luchadors. He's not just a heel. He's like the ultimate villain in that story now. This sets up something really personal, long-term, with MJF against these lucha heroes.
Well,
the stakes go way beyond just wins and losses.
That's next-level villainy, playing with fire there. Okay, moving from that really intense personal conflict, the show also just delivered pure spectacle, right? Lots of chaotic energy, big multi-man matches.
Oh, yeah. Typical of the high energy you expect. We had a massive 14-man tag match. That's kind of a staple, designed for nonstop action.
Who was in that one?
It was Adam Cole, Bandito, Brody King, Daniel Garcia, and the legends Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. They got the win over a team that included Dax Harwood, Volador Jr., and some of the Don Callis family guys.
A lot of talent in one ring.
Exactly. These matches are often less about deep story, more about showcasing a ton of athletic talent, that lucha style. And then separately, you had Kazuchika Okada.
The Rainmaker.
Yep, global star. He beat Mark Briscoe in a really hard-hitting match. It wasn't for Okada's Continental title, though.
Okay, so what was the significance there?
It seemed mostly about reinforcing Okada's character and his alliance with Don Callis. It showed that partnership is sticking, maybe hinting at a darker, more opportunistic direction for Okada under Callis' influence. Less hero, more Callis.
Interesting. Keeping that storyline cooking. Now, speaking of high stakes, there was one match that had more than just bragging rights on the line. There was some serious cash involved.
Yes. That was the four-way high flyer match. It had this extra layer of excitement because there was a huge bonus.
How much you're talking?
4 million pesos.
Wow. Okay, that's serious motivation. Who was in it?
It was Hologram, Ricochet, Lio Rush, and Máscara Dorada. All incredible athletes.
And who took home the cash?
Hologram got the win and the bonus. And, adding that kind of money, it's something you see in Lucha sometimes. It just pushes everything.
Makes them take even bigger risks.
Exactly. It directly incentivizes those spectacular, jaw-dropping moves the fans love. Every dive, every flip suddenly has, 4 million extra reasons behind it. It just amplified the whole thing, pushing those guys to their absolute limits.
4 million pesos. Yeah, I'd be doing backflips too. Okay, so let's get to the end of the night. The main event sounds like it was suitably chaotic and maybe left us with some cliffhangers.
Oh, definitely. It was a 10-man tag to close the show. Big mash feel. You had Jon Moxley, the Young Bucks, and the Beast Mordos on one side.
Yay.
Against the Ops, Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay on the other. So tons of star power.
Stacked lineup.
The match itself was wild, exactly what you'd expect. But the real story, the part that gets everyone talking, happened after the match ended.
The post-match angle. Classic AEW.
Right. Tensions were already high, things boiled over, and then Hangman Page comes out.
Hangman. Okay, he and Swerve have history. A lot of history.
Very complex history, animosity, respect, betrayal. It's all in there. But Hangman comes out, and he saves Swerve.
Save Swerve? From who?
From the post-match beatdown, presumably from Moxley and the Bucks side of things.
Okay, that does not track with their past relationship.
Not at all. It completely throws a wrench into one of AEW's longest-running, most intricate stories. Is it a truce? A new alliance? Is Swerve playing Hangman?
Right, you don't know who to trust there.
Exactly. It just injects massive intrigue into everything moving forward, especially in the tag division, opens up all sorts of possibilities for partnerships, betrayals. It really shakes things up for future storylines.
Okay, so looking back at the whole night then, AEW Grand Slam Mexico. It really feels like more than just a wrestling show, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It was a true landmark event. It managed to successfully blend AEW style with CMLL's Lucha Libre tradition.
Yeah, you had the strategic stuff like Moné's win, the really culturally charged moment with MJF and the mask.
Right, and all those unexpected turns. It definitely set the table for some huge future feuds. Feuds that might even cross promotional lines more often now.
So why does this deep dive matter for you listening?
Well, I think it shows a few really key things. One, how genuine cultural exchange can actually create something fresh and exciting in entertainment. It's not just doing the same thing in a new place.
Yeah.
Two, it highlights how actions within these stories, especially symbolic ones like the mask incident, can carry real weight and resonate deeply, far beyond just the ring.
Yeah, the cultural meaning.
Exactly. And finally, it just shows how one big, well-planned event can totally shift the momentum of multiple ongoing stories, create new dynamics, and really deepen the whole narrative universe.
It is fascinating stuff, which makes you wonder, if one event like Grand Slam Mexico can shake up the wrestling world this much by blending cultures, how could similar collaborations, maybe in other fields, other creative areas, how could they redefine their futures?
That's a great question.
Something to think about, definitely.
Yeah.
What happens when different worlds collide creatively?